Carter's a role player now, a respected veteran in his 16th NBA season, and so much of what seemed true then no longer does. Injury-prone, Carter's averaged about 78 games a year since leaving Toronto.
We never had a problem with him health-wise. Again, maybe there was so much pressure in Toronto and he was the man and he came to New Jersey. Maybe the pressure was off.
His career is coming to a close just as Canada undergoes a basketball renaissance. The young stars that are leading it, from Andrew Wiggins to Tristan Thompson to Anthony Bennett, all share a common bond, crediting Carter for sparking their imagination.
I think if it wasn't for Vince Carter being the exciting player that he was, I think a lot of us Toronto kids would never play basketball. For myself personally, I probably wouldn't be a basketball player.
It's amazing. I mean, you don't realize it as you're going through it, the impact that you can make on a young kid or a city, community, country.
Vince Carter was definitely our hero and our Michael Jordan, and I actually told Vince that when my first year when I saw him, I was like, you were my Michael Jordan. He started laughing.
I really appreciate the love. I really do.
Steve Nash is the greatest Canadian player ever. But Carter was Canadian basketball's biggest star. Is he the godfather of Canadian hoops?
Godfather. I can learn to like it.
Fans still boo Carter. What are they booing exactly? It's been 15 years since number 15 burst onto the scene in Toronto. Carter has moved on, yet the Raptors franchise has remained adrift, divorced from the richest moments in its history. Maybe, just maybe, Vince Carter wasn't the only problem after all.
There's a gentleman in the organization, and I won't name any names, and if he sees it, he chooses to come out, he will, who really had a lot of negative things to say to me once the trade happened, and he made his opinion and so on. And maybe 2 years ago, wrote me a note, long note, going back on how that was handled, the things that he heard and found out and apologized. And that was one of the best feelings ever. I think once again, another weight lift off of my shoulder, because I think now, like I said, it's starting to turn. People are starting to get it.
Is there any case why Vince Carter shouldn't be embraced by the organization and hopefully eventually by the fans? Do you think they'll ever get over it?
I hope so. And I think the situation, why it's so disappointing, is because we don't have a lot of tradition there in Toronto. So when you think about the most exciting piece that we do have, or we had, came from Vince Carter, and it's pretty much erased, is intentionally erased from people's mind, it's sad.
It's unfortunate because Vince had his prime years there, and he was the guy, and he really helped that franchise really get started, and you would hope that he would be appreciated for that.
The fans and the organization should embrace Vince. They should bring back Vince because they need tradition, they need history. And you could be upset with Vince at the time, but if you look back what Vince did for that organization, that might have been as good, and I'm sure it was, the best that organization has had in the NBA.
To me, it's hurtful to see that he's not embraced by that community.
While Carter was here, the Raptors mattered, and in that glow, basketball became alive. Vince Carter made that first splash, a moonshot rising and falling like that prayer in Philadelphia, and the ripples have never stopped. So what do you want to remember? The feeling you had when that shot was in the air, or only that it missed, and all that followed?
I want people to understand, it never was about not loving Toronto. It never was about not playing hard for Toronto, because that was not the case. And for people to say, oh, he didn't care about Toronto, no, that's where it started.
How do you think it's going to end?
I have no idea. I have no idea.